They call it close protection. It sounds elite. It sounds professional. But in the dark, when the diesel fumes hit your lungs and the gravel crunches under a reinforced SUV, you realize the truth. You're just a piece of expensive meat standing between a rich man and a bullet. You didn't take this job for the glory. You took it because your daughter's life had a price tag you couldn't afford. Now, the debt is paid, but the man you used to be is buried somewhere in the dust of Mogadishu. Level 1. The decoy. Mogadishu. The sun outside is a furnace, but inside the SUV, the AC is humming, and it smells like a mix of expensive leather, gun oil, and the client's $500 cologne. The man you're paid to protect doesn't look at you. He doesn't look at people like you. To him, you're just furniture. Functional, high-end, bulletproof furniture. You're in the middle vehicle of a 3-car convoy. The tint on the windows is so heavy that high noon looks like a permanent bruised twilight. Your job description is a paradox. If the world starts screaming and lead starts hitting the glass, you don't hide. You move toward the threat. You become a wall. You signed for 6 months and $47,000. It's a specific number. Exactly what's needed to wipe out the medical debt from your daughter's surgery and start a fund for a college she hasn't even picked yet. The recruiter used fancy titles like High-Risk Contractor, but everyone in this car knows the unspoken truth. You are a human shield. You're wearing 40 pounds of ceramic plating that bites into your shoulders. It'll stop a 7.62 round, sure, but it won't stop the big stuff. It won't stop the things that turn SUVs into scrap metal. The tires start to roll. You don't know the destination. They don't trust the help with maps. You just sit in the dark, watching the shadows of the city flicker across the glass, and you count the seconds between checkpoints, wondering if this is the day the math catches up to you. Level 2. The Shadow. 6 weeks in, and the city has already rewired your brain. You've mastered the art of sleeping sitting upright, head back against the headrest, body vibrating with the hum of the armored chassis. You've learned to listen to the streets like a predator, distinguishing the rhythmic pop of celebratory gunfire from the frantic, ragged staccato of a real engagement. You know the rule now. The explosion isn't the end. It's the starter pistol. The 15 seconds after the blast are when the real dying happens. That's when the dust is thick, the ears are ringing, and the second hit team moves in to finish what the IED started. Your client is a mining executive. You don't know his name, and you don't want to. Names make people human. Humans are harder to bleed for. He disappears into air-conditioned compounds wrapped in blast walls and razor wire while you remain in the hallway. You stand there for 4 hours, 6 hours, however long the deal takes. You don't sit. You don't scroll your phone. Your eyes are a camera, scanning every face, every hand in a pocket, every shadow that moves too fast. You share the detail with Piet, a South African with skin like old leather who spent 20 years in the Johannesburg trenches. He doesn't talk, and neither do you. In this life, silence is a professional courtesy. What is there to say? Your home is a skeletal luxury hotel that saw its last guest in the 90s. The pool is a cracked concrete pit, and the lobby is a fortress of sandbags. Dinner tastes like cardboard, and every Friday, you head to the wire service. You send the money back to a world you barely remember. You tell your daughter you're doing high-end security in Dubai. You describe the fountains and the skyscrapers you've only seen on Instagram. Dubai sounds like a vacation. Dubai sounds like a father who's coming home. It's the best lie you've ever told. Level 3, the rotation. They rotate you between clients. This is standard procedure. They don't want you forming attachments. They don't want you making judgments about who deserves protection and who doesn't. Your new client is a diplomat, French maybe, Belgian, you're not sure. He speaks English with an accent you can't place. This detail is different, more formal. You wear a suit now, not tactical gear. The suit has body armor built into it, thin panels that won't stop a rifle round but might stop a knife, or a small caliber handgun might. You stand behind him at receptions in buildings that still have chandeliers somehow, in a city where most people don't have running water. You watch men in expensive suits shake hands and make deals over wine that costs more than you'll make this entire contract. A woman approaches the client. She's young, maybe 25. She's smiling. You step forward, not aggressive, just present. You've learned to move in a way that communicates boundaries without words. She looks at you. Her smile doesn't change, but something in her eyes does. She steps back. The client doesn't notice. He never notices. You think about her sometimes. You think about the look in her eyes. You don't know what she wanted. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. You'll never know. Level 4, the incident. It happens on a Tuesday. You'll remember it was Tuesday because Tuesdays are when the market is open and the streets are most crowded. The convoy is stopped at a checkpoint. Routine. You've been through this checkpoint 40 times. The guard knows your face. Then the world compresses into a sound you feel in your chest before you hear it. The lead vehicle is on fire. You're moving before you think. That's the training. Your body is doing things your mind hasn't authorized yet. You're out of the SUV. You're pulling the client toward the armored core of the vehicle. Something hits the ground 6 feet to your left. You don't look at it. You push the client's head down. You're covering him with your body. This is the job. This is exactly the job. You hear shooting. You don't know who's shooting at whom. The body armor is pressing against your ribs so hard you can't take a full breath. Someone is screaming. You realize it's the client. He's screaming in French or Belgian or whatever language fear speaks in his country. It lasts 90 seconds. When it's over, the lead vehicle is burning and 2 of the drivers are dead, and you have a ringing in your ears that won't go away for 3 days. The client is fine. You did your job. They pay you a bonus, $3,000. You send it home. Level 5, the reputation. Word spreads in this industry faster than you'd think. You're known now. The man who stayed calm in Mogadishu. The man who did exactly what he was supposed to do when the shooting started. They offer you better contracts, more money, worse places. Kabul, Sana'a, Caracas. Cities where the work is constant because the danger is constant. You take a contract in Baghdad protecting a journalist. American woman, late 30s, built her career reporting from conflict zones. She looks at you differently than the others. She asks your name. You tell her. She uses it. It makes you uncomfortable in a way you can't articulate. You're not supposed to be a person to these people. You're supposed to be a function. She does a piece on private security contractors. She interviews you for background. You don't say much. What you do say, she quotes accurately. You see the article 3 months later when you're already on another contract. She described you as professional and distant, a man who has made peace with his own expendability. You read that line 7 times. You don't know if she meant it as a compliment. Level 6, the machine. You've been doing this for 2 years. You've protected 17 different clients across 9 countries. You know the interior layout of armored vehicles better than you know your own apartment, which you never see anymore. You renewed the contract, then you renewed it again. The money is good. Better than good. Your daughter's college fund is growing. The medical debt is gone. You're saving for things you never thought you'd be able to afford. Your daughter sends you pictures from her high school graduation. You weren't there. You were in Lagos protecting an oil executive during a labor dispute that turned violent. You missed her 18th birthday. You missed Thanksgiving. You missed Christmas. She says she understands. You're not sure she does. You're not sure you do. You've developed habits that civilians don't have. You never sit with your back to a door. You map exits before you map anything else. You wake up at the same time every day, regardless of where you are or how much sleep you got. Your body is a machine now, maintained but not loved. You have scars, small ones mostly, a knife wound in Nairobi, shrapnel fragments from a car bomb in Mosul that the armor mostly stopped. Mostly. You don't think about these things. Thinking about them isn't useful. Level 7, the choice. They offer you a different kind of work, not protection, extraction. A businessman is being held in Karachi by people who want money his company won't pay. The job is to get him out. It pays 6 times your normal rate. It's also illegal in at least 4 jurisdictions. You take it. The team is 5 people. You've worked with 2 of them before. The others are specialists. A driver who knows Karachi like most people know their own kitchen. A fixer who has relationships with people who have relationships with the people holding the businessman. You spend 3 days planning. Everything happens at night. You're wearing black, not armor. This isn't about protection. This is about speed and violence and getting out before the situation stabilizes. It works. You get the businessman. You get him to the airport. You get him on a plane. He's crying when he shakes your hand. You don't feel anything. You used to feel something. You remember feeling something. The money hits your account 3 days later. You send half to your daughter. You keep the rest in an account in Singapore that your parole officer won't find if you ever get arrested. You think about that more than you used to. Getting arrested. What you're doing isn't security anymore. You're not sure what it is. Level 8, the fracture. Your daughter stops answering your calls. She responds to texts eventually. Hours later, sometimes days later, one word answers. Fine. Okay. Busy. You try to schedule a visit. She says she has exams. Then she has a job. Then she has a boyfriend. There's always something. You realize you don't know what she looks like anymore. Not really. The pictures she sends are filtered, posed, carefully constructed versions of a person you're not sure you'd recognize on the street. You fly home between contracts. 2 weeks. You're supposed to see her. She cancels the day before. Something came up. You sit in a hotel room in the city where you used to live and you realize you don't know anyone here anymore. Your friends moved on. Your ex-wife remarried. Your daughter has a life that doesn't include you. You've been gone too long. You go back to work early. There's a contract in Tripoli. You take it. The client is someone important. You don't ask who. You don't care anymore who. You're standing in the right place when the shooting starts. You move the right direction. You take the rounds in your armor, not your body. 2 in the chest plate. 1 grazes your arm. The client survives. You did your job. You always do your job. That's all you are now. The job. Level 9. The ghost. You're 46 years old. You've been doing this for 8 years. You don't have a home. You have storage units in 3 countries containing things you'll probably never look at again. You have bank accounts in places you've never visited. You have more money than you ever thought you'd have, and nothing to spend it on except contracts that take you to the next war, the next coup, the next place where people with money need people without options to stand between them and consequences. Your daughter is in graduate school. You're paying for it. She accepted the money, but she didn't thank you. You don't blame her. You weren't there when she needed a father. You were there when she needed funding. That's different. You know it's different. The work has changed you in ways that can't be changed back. You evaluate every room for threats. You plan exits from conversations. You can't watch movies with your full attention because part of you is always scanning, always calculating angles and distances and response times. You went on a date once, between contracts. She asked what you do. You lied. She knew you were lying. There wasn't a second date. You're a ghost, present but not there, visible but not seen. You exist in the margins of other people's lives, expensive and necessary and ultimately disposable. Level 10, the math. You're standing in the middle of the Istanbul airport terminal, a crossroads for people who don't belong anywhere. Your contract expired at midnight. You've got $340,000 spread across accounts in 3 different time zones. You have no home, no permanent address, and no one waiting for you. Your body is a map of every mistake you've ever made. Your left knee grinds like it's full of gravel. Your right shoulder locks up when the weather changes. There's still shrapnel buried in your tissue that the surgeons couldn't reach, and the scar tissue pulls at your skin every time you breathe deep. You stare at the departure board as it flickers. Dubai, Nairobi, Bogota, Mexico City. The map of the world's misery is your career path. You could take any of them. You could keep doing this for another decade, or at least until the statistics finally catch up and you're the one left in a burning SUV. Or you could fly home, not to your daughter. She sends you a birthday text once a year and never picks up the phone. You're a bank account to her, not a father. No, you could go somewhere quiet, somewhere you could try to be a human being again instead of a biological function. But looking at your reflection in the terminal glass, you realize you don't even know what that looks like anymore. You don't know if there's enough of you left to build a life that isn't made of armor and adrenaline. The board clicks. Your flight is boarding. It's not the one to a quiet life. It's the flight to Nairobi, another contract, another client whose name you'll never memorize, another 6 months of being the space between the bullet and the target. You pick up your bag. It's light. Everything you own fits into one hand. You've trained yourself to need nothing, to want nothing, to be nothing. You walk down the jet bridge, and with every step, the man you used to be fades a little more. You aren't going to Nairobi for the money anymore. You're going because the world makes sense when there's a threat to face. You've become the shield, and a shield doesn't have a home. It only has a purpose. The cabin door closes. The cycle repeats. Somewhere out there, a rich man needs to survive the night, and you're the only thing standing in the way of his consequences. That's all you are now. That's all that's left. If you want to see the stories the world tries to hide, subscribe. We're just getting started.